So, welcome to Noobs and the Gingerback, week number 6 officially. I think we said earlier. Was that right?
Yeah, 5-6.
We've got a slightly shorter show this week. I think we're still experimenting with the format and that, so there may be some changes over the next few weeks in terms of what we're doing. And we would appreciate all your feedback on that and what you think of what we're doing, and obviously always looking to improve. So, moving on into our first story, and this is about the Nintendo Switch. This is taken from the Kotaku website, where they recently unveiled a series of incredible creations that Nintendo Labo users were making, and it really is just some spectacular stuff, and I think it's quite amazing. How this has actually become quite popular, not necessarily just with kids as they intended to, but with sort of young creative people. I mean, you can see here some of the stuff they're making is just fantastic and very, very creative.
Yeah.
I think what amazes me most is how only Nintendo, can find a way to successfully sell their player base cardboard at the end of the day. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it still blows my mind that, like you said, they're cardboard. I mean, it was good for cats, so I guess they just figured, hey, we'll get people in the cardboard too. But yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And it's one thing that they created stuff for us to do with cardboard. It's another thing for these, the designers, the developers, like they're going in and taking it a step further. So like you've sparked interest in adults to go in and make an accordion. I mean, that is absolutely crazy to think that we have a cardboard accordion. But it's a beautiful.
I think that really is the kind of success of this story, really, is that I remember when they first announced Nintendo Labo, there was this big kind of question about, is this just some prefab boxes that they're going to sell to kids and they can make their own little piano and that, or is there going to be some serious development capability behind this? And I think this has basically answered that. They've obviously, they've released this API that developers can use to build their own stuff, and yeah, they've created some really cool shit that I'm sure Nintendo are looking at going, how can we make more money out of this? But yeah, it's a fun thing, and it's a fun new way to develop if you are a developer, and it's a fun new way to think about developing, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, even being creative with designing a whole new game, or how we actually utilize Labo and the Switch. I mean, you have people going in and just creating works of art on top of just the factory setting stuff, and like it's just the creativity, that's where it's at. I mean, it's just for something so basic, so simple, it's just a beautiful thing. It's just nuts that leave it to Nintendo to sell something you can find in a dumpster.
Yeah,
but it's nice,
or at least make it popular again.
It's just nice that they can spark creativity. Because I think that's nice. I remember being a kid where you get the little radio set where you'd build your own little radio. I mean, like, you just don't catch that anymore. People are so isolated in their room, and it's like if you can combine the major thing, which is the video games, into some kind of creativity, you got people making accordions.
Well, I think you've stumbled upon something very interesting. Talk about radio kits, model kits, and there's a very specific generation well, they're now adults, they're now sort of in the late 20s, 30s, like us, and they don't have those kind of tools anymore. They grew up with these build your own radio kits and everything, and now this is that kit for them, this is that opportunity. So I do feel like it's something that is very, very unique to our generation and a very specific demographic within our generation. But beyond that, I think it's something that's going to die out, because the younger generations and the people who this product was originally aimed at don't grow up with those kind of things, and they're not really interested in building things. They just want to tap screens. So I think it has a limited reach.
And I think that's what you're getting is they did this cardboard design for the future generation of kids, but the people like us that did do the radios were the ones that are picking it up, going, how can we take this cardboard and make it even better?
Yeah. How can we have fun with it?
At least when you bought a kit, it came with metal and circuits and stuff, and just not... Like, I'm waiting for Nintendo to take the box that the Labo comes in as part of the piece to build whatever you're building. That's what...
Yeah, I think that would be a bit difficult, because then you're talking about it integrating... Well, I'm sure there's a way to do it. Snap-on circuit board piece. So I'm sure it's possible, but yeah. But I mean, I do find it hard to criticize Nintendo with what they've done. I think this is just another fine example of the creativity and the ingenuity at the company. Although I have some issues with them, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, happy days, well done. And if you're interested in it, I would suggest pick up a Labo kit and see what you can make with it. And we'd love to see what you can do as well. So yeah, we're moving on to our next story. We've got, and this is from the motherofallnerds.com, and it is all about Xbox, who is going to be showing new accessories at Gamescom 2018. Now, if you're watching last week, one of our main stories was talking about how Sony have announced that the PlayStation is coming to the end of its life cycle, or is in the last 3 years of its life cycle. So we started talking about this, this idea that we have next gen coming up, and that they're starting to gear their mindsets towards next generation consoles. Gamescom is an event that's happening later this month in Cologne in Germany, August 21st, 25th, and Xbox are they're releasing accessories for something which Sony believes is at the end of its life cycle. And I say that because when Sony says the PlayStation is in the last 3 years of its life cycle, it has to believe that Xbox is in that as well. It has to, because that's its competition. They have to believe that the Xbox is coming to an end as well. Otherwise, they need to still be pushing their product. That's how they, stay on top of the console wars. Xbox seem to have a different idea on this, whereby they don't think that this is the end of it. They still think that there's more to add to it. There's more to invest in it, and that they can make more money out of the console as a whole, which is why I think they've gone this route of adding more accessories. When, as I've said a million times before, Noobs, you'll back me up on this, they should be investing their money in getting more developers to make exclusives. But anyway,
definitely,
we're not going to go down that rant again. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Looking at what we're seeing here, do you think this is worthwhile? Do you think this is going to add more years of life to the Xbox?
I do. I mean, Xbox stated, before that they were trying to build this crazy console for the sake of they wanted to do, software updates and not so much hardware updates, to where they're trying to expand the lifespan of the Xbox One S and all their equipment. And as long as they stay true to that, this is kind of like their evolution. They need to figure out what works. And I think, like, that particular accessory, getting accessibility to the handicap to be able to still play video games, I think is amazing. So having these add-ons, or, if you do want to play, because I know, like, sometimes in the Xbox Arcade, you can get Atari games. They have like the Namco Museum or something like that. So I end up seeing where they had kind of like that Atari stick, so it's kind of nice to have accessories that are going to work for the type of games that you're doing. If you wanted to do a flight simulator, I mean, if they had something you could plug in the controllers to play with.
But it does come back. Everything you're saying, though, is kind of relying on the fact they have games that are actually going to make use of all these new features and added things putting in. And yes, some of it is useful for playing old school arcade games, but again, that's not how you grow a platform, is by rehashing old stuff and going back and new ways of playing old stuff. You need to have new content to drive these accessories forward as well, which would presume that they've gone to developers to build exclusives, because these accessories are not going to be available in any other. So they have to pay developers to do things exclusively for Xbox. But that's something that historically they've not done. So
and hopefully this will...
Is it going to be a case of like 6 little cheap games which they release with the things, and that's all we're ever going to see on them? Or do you think there's going to be a bigger development community around these accessories?
I hope there's definitely. I mean, obviously they're gonna have to figure out, you know, for the accessibility aspect. That's why they have, that main controller that you plug in everything else to is for the accessibility. But I think like that could actually work well, maybe in competition. Where you can kind of pick and choose. You'll have that thing on the ground using your foot trying to build something while you have a controller in your hand, or I don't know. I think there's use for it.
I see what you're getting at. I don't think the esports market is. I mean, when we start seeing competitive Beat Saber, I think competitive esports at the moment is very confined to the traditional kind of controller or keyboard and mouse play. Well, it's not ready for that at all.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of people do a lot. I've seen people beat Dark Souls with Guitar Hero guitars. Like people get crazy. They get very inventive when it comes to stuff like that.
And that's great. I mean, from an exhibition perspective, fantastic. I'd love to see more of that stuff. Live demos at conventions and that'll be great. That'll be a lot of fun. But from a competitive standpoint, nah.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely losing in the aspect of the race. That's definitely for sure. And maybe they're choking up, and this is kind of like they're not thinking right and just trying to go a different path, or maybe they're because Nintendo and Xbox didn't try doing VR, PlayStation did, and maybe it's like people are trying to like veer off to their own niche, and maybe Xbox is kind of like what the hell do we do? We can't do VR. We don't want to compete here. Nintendo's got the portability. And it's like, where do we go? Besides, they need to get their game development under control. But besides that, like they don't have that weird niche. Like their whole thing was in-home console. You plug your satellite cable box into the back, and like that's your one unit for whatever.
Yeah.
But nowadays with Netflix and all that stuff, like that doesn't really matter. So like their gimmick is over. They don't have the Kinect anymore. So I don't know if this is kind of their last ditch effort trying to come up with something, but hopefully we'll see some more here in the next couple of weeks.
We will indeed. As I mentioned earlier, they are between August 21st to 25th from the Gamescom exhibition in Cologne in Germany. So if you're in the neighborhood, go check it out and let us know what they say. We'll be talking more about it as and when we know more in the future. So
hello, Divide.
And now we're
welcome
on to everybody's favorite battle royale game, Fortnite. So this is a recent announcement that Epic Games, the developers of Fortnite, made, and it's about the fact that the game is not available on Android at the moment, and they recently finally announced that they will eventually be available on Android, but they refuse to release the game through Google's own Play Store. And in a recent article on Kotaku, they stated the reasons why. And they talk for Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, spoke about the 30% cuts that Google takes on in-app purchases for games sold through its storefronts. So yeah, any in-app purchase, and obviously that is Fortnite's biggest market is in-app purchases. That's where they make all their money because the game is free. So 30% cut of that is, for a huge company like them, that's a big cut. So I can understand that. And then the 70% has to cover all the costs of developing, operating, and supporting their games. And yeah, so they've made the decision that they want to find a way to release the game not through the Play Store platform, find their own way to release it. Which, I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. From a business standpoint, I mean, the first thing that I would think in their shoes is, okay, we know they can see the Apple sales. They can see, the sales from each platform. It's kind of like, what are we going to receive from Android? Kind of put a stipulation, 1 million to 2 million, and go, okay, if we're losing 30% of the sales, how much money is that? And let's say, ballpark figured it's, $3 million. They can go in our heads, 3 million. Can we build our own thing? And then we own it. And then we never have to worry about anything anymore down the road. And it's definitely a smart thing to go. I mean, yeah, if somebody is going to be charging you like that from a business perspective, that's and they have the resources. I mean, they have, they built the Unreal Engine. I'm sure they can figure out how to, back in, put something into, Android system. In a lot of apps, I do notice you don't need Google Play. You go to their website and you can download whatever right to your phone. So it's possible, and with their resources and the funds that are available now, I think they can set that up for the future. And I mean, Fortnite's I don't think is going to go anywhere anytime soon. So I mean, I think it's a smart investment on their part to build their own.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see the first actual release, because by not going through the Play Store, obviously there's a security benefit completely forego by not using the Google Play Store. So they'd have to build their own security implementations with no real experience or background in this. So it will be interesting to see the first release and see how stable and how secure it is, and to see the tests come out of that. But they have said in the article as well that it will kind of look very much and work very much like something like Blizzard's Battle.net system on computers, and they'll have a similar kind of integration with phones. With that, I mean, yeah, as you say, from a business perspective, it does make sense, especially when you're talking in the amount of monny that Epic Games is dealing with Fortnite. It is millions.
Like, oh yeah,
it's a huge amount.
And they do have a nice polished Battle.net type setup right now with
there you go.
Unreal Championship. Oh man, I can't even think now. It's been so long. But they have it listed where they have a banner with, their 5 set games. You launch from one place. And I think they do have a lot of security things, because even though when you do Fortnite through PlayStation, it goes through the PS Store, so you're paying through their secure. But when you buy stuff through PC, like you've already set up through the PC your credit card information. So they do have some security measures to go with PC people. Xbox and PlayStation do their own in-housing. So I don't think it couldn't take so much effort for them to turn around and make this app or client for your phone, especially if it's going to save you money in the long run, because you don't know how popular.
The APIs are out there to do the kind of and yeah, I mean, to hide the. So yeah, I don't think it'd be an issue. I don't think it's going. I think the big concern from an outside perspective is that they're going out of their way to disrupt Google Play's marketplace, which I think is just completely inaccurate. If you're making millions and millions of pounds, every million that you make, they get £300,000 for literally just doing an installer. That's a huge amount of money. Which is why I understand Google would want to sort of like try and be like, no, listen, you've got to use us. Look, you have to use our system. There's no other way.
Oh yeah.
And I understand why Fortnite doesn't want to give them that huge amount of money for doing nothing. But this doesn't take away the value of the Google Play Store. I think it definitely has its place, especially with smaller developers and within a smaller kind of marketplace where people kind of depend on that distribution network, because they can't have their own integrations into they don't have the resources to do that. So it gives them a platform for their stuff to be found. So it doesn't downplay the usefulness of Google Play in any way at all. But
yeah,
it is interesting to see them take this approach to it and making a smarter business decision. It's different on each platform.
Well, yeah, because if your game's only going to sell, let's say you make a flashlight app, it's only going to sell 10,000 copies. Like Google Play, perfect for you. You're in, you're out, you get your money, you're done. But someone like Fortnite, you don't know how long this stretch is going to go. So if you invest that one-time fee of setting up your own client, then you're done. But if Fortnite goes another 20 years, that's 20 years that Google is going to have their hands in that profit, and that's huge. So I mean, yeah, for a huge business perspective, that it's definitely smart. It has sucked not having, that ease of use. I won't have Google achievements for my Fortnite. Or what Google Home or Google House, or I can't even remember what it is.
I mean,
but
I do kind of understand from a annoyance of it, because I mean, even on PCs, it kind of annoys me that I've got Steam, I've got Battle.net, I've got the Bethesda launcher, I've got 4 or 5 different launchers for
you play games. Origins, all that, it gets
exactly.
nuts,
and it's annoying. I'd love to have a system where all my games can be launched from one place, one application that I need to open. That would be great. I like that. And then everything updates itself as and when it needs to. That's fine. You just do your thing. But just one launcher where all my games are. That would be great. I'd appreciate that. Please.
Yeah, there's a couple of times I get confused and I'm like, I want to play this game. Where is it? And then you have to open every launcher and it takes minutes of my life.
I swear I bought Overwatch. Why isn't it in Steam? What's going on? Can I read out? Oh, no, wait. Yeah, that isn't right. But yeah, smart business decision. Well done to them. And we'll see if it pays off. I'm sure it will. So moving on, we're actually moving into the world of cars now, because earlier this week on the 1st of August, Elon Musk released a tweet saying, if you're into video game development, consider applying to Tesla. We want to make super fun games that integrate the center touchscreen, phone and car IRL. Full stop. So Tesla are hiring game developers. They've started with this already. They've actually added a whole bunch of classic Atari games to the cars. So they're pre-installed sort of in the center console touchscreen of the car, and they only work when the car isn't moving. Especially if you're sitting in your car waiting for someone, you can play games and that, and which is cool. What do we think? Is this a good idea?
Oh yeah, because I went. I've actually picked up a friend from the airport, took my Switch, put it on the dash, and was playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I can see there being a use for it, because I mean your phone is only 7-something inches. I don't know what their particular screen in the car is.
But why? But I think it's 9 inches. No, what is it? You keep talking. I'll find out.
I was gonna say, yeah, I guess our phones are about 6 inches or so, something like that. 5, 6, whatever. I know there's like regular phone and like phablet phone.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could see a need for it, especially if it was something where they can produce, standard games. If you could actually have, Overwatch, for instance, or something, you could jack in a controller and Bluetooth and do whatever. I think would be kind of cool. But I mean, I've lived it. I've been in my car with the Switch and have done this, so I could see a use.
Because the Tesla screen size is 17 inches. So it's a fair size screen.
I mean, you're almost to basic computer monitor size.
Look, I mean, I'm all for gaming being, completely ubiquitous in our life, and then just being everywhere and in everything and everywhere. Oh, it's just gaming. But in your car, is it really necessary? I don't think so. I think it's a gimmick. I think it's great that he's that Tesla are bringing in game developers into their workplace and their environments. I think that can only bring good things. But I don't really think this should become a trend. If I want to play games but I'm not at home on my computer, I've got a mobile phone for that. I don't need a console gaming experience in my car.
As long as there's no exclusives.
For someone to get something. Yeah.
I don't want to have to buy. I don't have to buy a car to play some cool game. That's gonna aggravate me. Like, I wanted to play this $70 game. I bought a $80,000 car.
Yeah. That would be great. I think.
How about VR in?
Let's have some games.
We'll have VR in the Tesla, where you put on the headset and you do a driving simulator.
If you have like Gran Turismo driving simulator in your Tesla.
Oh my god. Yeah,
and it's like you don't even have a headset. Like the windscreen and like all the windows just become the game. The controls are the car itself. The
car's in autopilot, but you use the car's controller, the actual steering wheel, to play the game.
It's a self-driving car, right? So so this is the dream now, right? It's a self-driving car, right? While it's driving down the motorway, just turns into a mobile like VR arcade thing, because all the windows are like the game monitors, and you've got like the rear view mirror shows the game's rear view mirror and everything, and the controls are the car's controls. That would be the ultimate. Playing a VR racing driving game while you're in a car that's self-driving itself.
I think that would make my
so meta.
I think I'd be a better employee if I knew I could get 30 hours and some Gran Turismo before I went to work. That's like my biggest complaint. You work in 30 minutes to an hour away and you do that every day. It's like 2 hours. That's 2 hours of gaming that I'm losing. So if I could be
every day you lose. It's a tragedy, and we need to get it back. Thank you, Tesla. You have begun the revolution.
I was to say, if it can be done, somebody's gonna do it, and it looks like this is where we are.
So keep your eyes out for the Tesla exclusives. Yeah, brilliant. That's only on the Tesla S model as well. It's only on the S model at the moment. So if you've got any of the other models, too bad.
So start saving. Tell your parents for Christmas you want a Tesla. 16th birthday.
You can already buy. What's the Tesla Model 3? Is like 18,000, 21,000 pounds or something like that. It's quite a cheap car actually. But anyway.
But it doesn't have the.
I don't know. I'm sure it will eventually. I'm sure we'll be able to play Pong on it at some point. But yeah, moving along, we've got my next story, which is an interesting one from Apple actually, and I feel like this is a little bit of Apple's arrogance coming through again. Apple has released a new policy which really hurts mobile game review sites. Yeah. So Apple is ending its affiliate program for apps, which could mean the end of review sites like Touch Arcade that have relied on a cut from Apple to keep their mobile game review sites afloat. The tech giant made the announcement in its August newsletter saying that members of the program will stop receiving commissions starting 1st October. A move the editor of Touch Arcade called a big middle finger to his site and others like it. So essentially, from what I understand, the way that this works is if you reviewed mobile apps from Apple's App Store, and obviously did all the right SEO to link it back to the download page and everything like that, you'd receive a cut of the cost of that of that game. So if it was like a £10 game, you get anything between 2.5% to 7% commission on that game if the viewers bought it. But they've now stopped that. Now, a lot of these, sort of small, mobile game review sites, there's not a huge market for it, I don't think. But they are out there and they do exist. And some people rely on keeping their websites alive through this commission structure, which they're now taking away completely. And it kind of just kills a small sector of the business, really, small sector of the industry. And the reason that Apple have done it is they say is because they looked at the amount that they were spending on it and they didn't see enough return for it. So it was a pure business decision. I don't know. I feel like they should have more compassion on this as a huge site that distributes games, because as it says here, these sites rely on this revenue, so they are killing off a small part of the industry by doing this. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, everybody always wants, it's always business. That's usually the go-to word. It's business. But you have to care about the people that are still helping bring. And if it's not putting you in the red to do it just because the numbers aren't there as much, just to get rid of something like that, is terrible, because you're getting rid of, it's a whole nother market. Are these people going to shut down? Are they going to still do it for free just because they have the passion of journalism to do it? Or, it's like, how is that going to be? And it shows a lot to you, because then it puts you in a negative light. Because now people are going to be like, oh. And it opens up opportunities, not to say that Android would, but it's kind of like you've closed the door for yourself and possibly opened it up for someone else. And it's like, for what? A couple more percentages. I mean, if something like that doesn't have a negative effect on your company, financially, just let it ride for the sake of, caring about your community. And I mean, that does suck, for all of them.
Yeah. Well, they do have an interesting example here. Touch Arcade, crowdfunding Patreon, which currently brings in about just a little slither over $4,000 a month out of their $10,000 monthly goal, and the rest of it is made up from Amazon and App Store affiliate links. So yeah, shutting down, already they can't even, they're not currently making half of their required monthly amounts to keep the business running, just from Patreon. So these affiliate programs are so important to their economy and so important to keeping them afloat. And to lose a chunk like that, especially for smaller sites, it's they're going to take a big knock from this, I think. And the whole sort of area of the industry is going to take a knock, because I don't think they realize the kind of, I don't know, it's kind of going into chaos theory a little bit, but the knock-on effect of these kind of things. Because essentially what's going to happen is you can have all these review sites that shut down and disappear. You can have less people working within the industry promoting these games, which means less people are going to see the games, less people are going to download it, less people are going to buy it. So there's less money in the developers, so there's less developers because less people want to work in an industry where there's no money. And it's small things like this that build up, because now Apple do it and they show on their figures that they're making more money from making this decision. So what's now to stop Amazon from turning around saying, oh, well, actually, we should do the same because we can make more money by just stopping that. And then the next company does the same. So it's very dangerous. And it goes back to something that I say at least once in every single show. And that is about how video game developers should and need to take more responsibility for the industry as a whole. And I think this is a part of it. And yeah, so I boo Apple. Apple boo.
Yeah, because I mean, and it's weird because I mean they're pushing this mobile market, like they're trying to make mobile a thing, like PlayStation and Xbox, and it's like that's what everybody's trying to get into, and now you're getting rid of the people that are going to review and promote mobile market when this is supposed to be the hot new thing. They're making hardware and cell phones to support mobile gaming, and then now the people that are going to review it aren't going to, like I said, they're not going to do it, or they're going to move on to another place. Or, the trickle effect where other people start backing off.
I think it's very counterintuitive with what marketing trends showing into the best way to market your product. That is through influencer advertising marketing. People in 2018 don't necessarily trust when a brand says, oh, our product is really good, come and check it out. People don't necessarily trust reviews on websites anymore, like Amazon, like the App Store. They don't trust those reviews because there are ways that you can generate these artificially. So it's difficult to trust. So these affiliate programs and influencer marketing has become the biggest thing. People identify a single personality who they trust and they identify with, and they follow the trends that person follows, essentially. And this is very counterintuitive to that. So I because what they're doing is they're bringing that marketing money back in house. So I don't know if it's going to pay off. I don't think it will. And yeah, as I say, it's kind of just putting a big dent in that economy of influence.
And then hopefully, maybe they'll see their mistake and bring it back. I mean,
nah.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, Apple's not been very good in the past of admitting to their own mistakes. There are still some people that think the Newton was a good idea, but anyway. So yeah, we'll see what happens then, and I hope those websites survive, because it affects people like us as well. Well, this is what we do. We review games, and if this kind of influencer marketing and affiliate programs are taken away, then we wouldn't have an opportunity to grow. So yeah, keep an eye on that. But moving swiftly along to our main story of the day, and it's not often that we have quite a positive main story, actually. So it's nice to be at this point of the show and be able to bring you some positive, good news. And that is that we got the figures in for the best-selling consoles of June. And who do you think it was? Anyone. You go. Who do you think it was? It's not who you think it was. I'll tell you. It's the NES Classic. So the NES Classic outsold every single other console in June, which is brilliant. I think nostalgia gaming and retro gaming, sorry, is probably the best way to say it, is making a huge comeback and has been over the past couple of years, and this is another show of that. I mean, there's a whole story about the release of the Nintendo Classic. You were saying earlier, Noobs.
Oh crap! I lost it. Yeah, so like with the NES Classic, I mean, what's crazy is like with their limited production run, is like it's not like the console just came out in June and they're beating out everybody else. Did you lose me?
No, you carry on. You carry on.
Oh, uh, but like it's been
I'm
out,
talking to someone in my
you
chat.
know, for a year or so, and it, you know, people have bought this, so it's just crazy that they finally made a ton of them, came out in June and said, hey, we're all these stores are going to have them, people can buy them, and that, you know, single-handedly a console with just 30 games, you know, that preloaded games beat out the main contenders, you know, their own Switch, you know, with PlayStation and Xbox. And it's just crazy to think that 30 games from our past was enough to sell out more consoles than all those.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a fascinating turn for gaming, that, you know, retro gaming that has become so popular in 2018. But it's again, it goes back to there you go.
Yeah.
How much
I
was
mean,
that, by the way?
59.99,
59.99.
I believe. Yeah, I think it was
Okay, hold on a second.
59.99, and then the SNES I think is 79.99. Okay, so yeah, we're back with the NES. Yeah, so I was one of those statistics,
classic.
one of those number, you know.
So it is interesting to note though that this is just pure numbers. This isn't how much money the console's made. Obviously, you know, as you said, it's what, $50 for the NES Classic.
Yeah, 50,
Yeah,
59.
so that's going to be an attractive offer for anyone. Anyone who sees that is going to be like, oh yeah, I'll buy that for $50 and get some great classic games that I used to love as a kid. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with this current generation kind of bubble with those kind of things. And it's fascinating to see that become a thing again and become popular again. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, it must be noted that the most profitable console of June was the PlayStation. Obviously sells for a much higher price,
Oh yeah,
so it's going to make more money.
yeah. When you gotta sell six NESs to make one PlayStation, yeah, dollars to dollars, that makes sense. But actual production numbers is crazy to think that something so simple can, you know, outdo everyone. And like that is a big trend. I mean, Atari's been doing it for I think 7 series where they have their different ones, and this isn't just a individual plug and play, you get one game type deal, but actual, you know, plastic fake looking console type things with, you know, 25 or 30 games on it. And I mean, they've been doing it for 7 series, and I actually just bought the Genesis, which they were smart and have cartridge support. So now I get HDMI Genesis games that I can use on my cap card.
Do you think this is a lasting model? Because I feel like these things are popular at the moment. Generation that grew up on these consoles and these types of games and games originally are now just the adults with the money. So they're buying these consoles for themselves again as they're coming out, and it's, you know, rehashing that whole industry. And I mean, will we see something where in 20, 30 years they're re-releasing the PlayStation 3? You know, with all the PlayStation 3 games, because that's what that generation grew up with. Is this a sustainable thing, or is this just very generational?
It goes both ways. I mean, obviously generational, because I mean, who doesn't want to go back and relive their past? But it's also technological. The computer or the TV that I'm on has no auxiliary or no component, AC, whatever. It has, and it doesn't even have anything on the back of the TV. It has a cable that goes into the TV and comes out to a separate box that's loaded with HDMI. That is it. So I can't play unless I have a converter. I can't play any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So being able to get it in an HDMI format, the NES, I don't like that it's just programmed ROMs. I do like that I can use original hardware in this Genesis box, because then I can take my old stuff and be able to play it. I can be able to put it into my cap card. I can, you know, have Throwback Thursday or something like that. So technologically,
like, no offense, but you're a bit of an anomaly. Still, Sega console. Is it wise to build a business model off of that?
I think that maybe not in a grand scheme. Like if you had the funds to do it on a smaller scale, because like the NES doesn't have cartridge support. If it did, on top of the ROMs and be able to use HDMI, I would buy it, because it's $100+ to pay somebody to convert my original one into it.
Sorry, no, hold on. if it supports the old games and wasn't just viewed, and we've already agreed that statistical anomaly in. So I'm going to have to say that will be the wrong decision to make. 99% of people who's going to buy this thing aren't going to have those old cartridges. They don't want to go out and try and hunt down these old cartridges to play them. There's 30 games in there already. Boom, happy days, done. Let's just take that. That's all they need.
Well,
they play 30 of these old school games. So I think what you're saying is just not a clever idea at all.
Or they should have,
to you, though.
Or they should have a ROM library to buy more, instead of having somebody have to hack it or do any of that other stuff.
Yeah, but then I think that takes away from the novelty. It's supposed to. I mean, if you're going that deep, guess what? There are hundreds of emulators you can just download for free online that'll do that for you. You don't need to hack into this box to do that. Like, there's far easier ways to do it. This is just a novelty thing for people who aren't that interested in doing that kind of stuff. That's all. It should not be taken that seriously. I'm sorry, it shouldn't.
It's working though. I mean,
it is. It is.
I'm waiting for what was the next one in line? The GameCube Classic or the 64 Classic to come out? Right?
You actually cut out there as you said that, so I've
no idea. I was NES, Super NES, and then 64, correct? And then GameCube. Oh, yeah, I'm waiting for the 64 Classic to be the next step for them.
Well, didn't they do a re-release of the biggest game on the 64?
Goldeneye? Or what do you mean, Ocarina of Time, Zelda? There's a couple big ones. For me, Goldeneye was pretty huge.
Yeah, Goldeneye was the biggest selling game, but they've already done
PlayStation 1 or 2?
Didn't they?
PlayStation 1 or 2?
No, it was recent. It was very recent they re-released it. I can't remember what on or what, but anyway.
I'll have to look into that. I know I went back and played GoldenEye, and yeah, the way the thumbstick thing works, horrible. I couldn't even move. I couldn't even, like, walk. Yeah. That's how bad. And it's weird. You pick up a PlayStation or Xbox controller, and you're so fluent and perfect, but that stick, I couldn't function. And back then, they didn't have settings for your buttons and stuff. You know, that wasn't a big thing back then. You just got what you got.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it's an interesting state of gaming consumer, consumers within gaming. And yeah, I like the novel, but I don't think we need to be doing anything more serious with this or trying to turn it into a marketplace. I don't think there is a marketplace for it. But we're going to keep seeing stuff.
Just do it for me. Just make one. If you're listening, just make one. I want it. I'm the weird one. I'll be happy.
Just for noobs. Fair play.
I'll pay double. Just make one.
Well, that's it for our main stories this week. We've now got our little featurettes, which is firstly our funny story of the week. Noobs, I'm going to let you take it away with this one because you've read this. You've actually looked at this. I just kind of randomly found the link. So take it away. What are we looking at?
Oh boy. Okay. Oh my goodness. So apparently, somebody that had way too much free time, a YouTuber by Master of Hyrule. I can't. Okay, I gotta have to look away. I can't even look at that because it's messing me up because it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Okay, so a YouTuber by Master of Hyrule has taken the original Fortnite dance and has applied it to every Smash Brothers character with the 3D animator. And
that is amazing.
So he wanted to show off like every character's taunt, and I guess this was just kind of like a side project for him, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it needed to happen. I can't stop looking.
Did it really?
I can't even stop looking. It is a train wreck. It is an absolute train wreck, and I can't even focus. That's how
How long is this video?
It is 8 minutes.
Smash
It is 8
character?
minutes. It is every Smash. It's 8 minutes long. Every Smash character.
We're not going to subject everyone to the full 8 minutes. It does give you.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Now, you know, this is... Okay, this is the future of Nintendo's Smash Royale. This is what it's going to be. Smash Royale, they're going to pick up Fortnite, and this is what you're going to get. Like I said, I can't even function. I can't even, because I gotta keep looking at it, like it. Please, and it's the same dance, but it's so. See, I can't even stop looking. Let me turn this off. I gotta walk away. I have to walk away.
That's brilliant.
But it's funny. I mean, it's great. I'm glad that somebody had the time to do it.
I'm just glad that there are people out there that do things for our entertainment. Thank you so much. Really.
Yeah, our time on planet Earth is so limited, and somebody took that time to make our day even better.
And that brings us on to our last bit of the show today, and that is the Game Spotlight. And once again, we go back to Noobs, who runs the Game Spotlight for us every week. What have you got for us this week?
This week, we have Wreckfest. Usually I've been picking a lot of side-scrollers, and I'm browsing through like my inventory. There's just hundreds of games. When you have to pick one a week, it's really hard. So Wreckfest reminded me of the good old days of playing whatever NASCAR it was on like the PC from back in the day where you used to drive backwards, just so for the sake of hitting a car to see the destruction. And then I think it was Demolition Derby once you got into like the CD-based games of PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast.
Derby.
Yeah, and it's like
Destruction Derby was the first one, yeah.
You have to, you know, talking about bringing about the past, it's kind of nice to see just a different genre, something where like them bring it back. And what is crazy about this game?
So is it traditionally a racing game then, or?
Yeah, it is just your standard racing game with destruction on it. What makes this game so nuts, and what stuck out to me was the fact that, and we were talking about, you know, early access and Steam, and, you know, is there a purpose for it a few weeks ago. This game was in early access for 1,600 plus days. Like, that is mind-blowing to me. I mean, that's years.
Quite a couple of years, yeah.
Years. And, like, that's what made this so unique. I mean, besides the Combine thing, that's new. I'm liking that. The game, it has to say something, you know. I mean, like, even Steam, I think last year, and they've dropped it. They had like a Greenlight project for, you know, games that kind of stood out, you know, trying to kind of like a secondary Kickstarter, or kind of like just a way to boost, you know, viewership on a particular game. So, I mean, that says something about it. And like I said, the fact that it took so long for it to make it to Limelight was just crazy. Now, that being said, it is on Steam for $44.99. I believe that, I feel like that's expensive, and maybe it's just because it's racing. I don't know. But it does look good.
Well, I mean, that kind of puts it in the league of play quality.
But they say that everything's destructible. It's not like they have patternized destruction.
Well, there's only so many times that I drive a car into barriers to see what happens. I mean, there's going to have to be some more content than just that in the game, surely.
Yeah, and I believe that they're going to...
have they got? Do we know?
That I could not find.
So it's not out yet officially?
June, it came out on Steam officially, and in November it's going to be on Xbox and PlayStation. So for the console people, you have just a little bit more of the wait. And I'm sure that's where everything's going to come full circle, is once they get the console stuff and, you know, get it all figured out.
Yeah.
But yeah, even looking at their website. Like it doesn't specifically say, and I think it's like I said, it's probably because they're working on I mean, well, they need another 1,600 days to figure it out.
1,600 days only gets you.
Yeah, you only get to just you you get 10 tracks, and then you wait another 1,600 for the DLC. But I mean, the graphics look great. The destruction, and that's what I like, is that I remember back in the day, it didn't matter how much you hit a car into a wall. It had like that predefined destruction graphic, and that was it. That's all you got. This, everything has, it's all separated, so whatever you hit, you could just turn this thing into a cube. So I mean, it has real life destruction to it. Anything in the game can be hit, can be destroyed, and like I said, it's kind of like that throwback to Fossil, that games like Demolition Derby, and like I said, whatever the first NASCAR game for PC in the 90s. All I could do was like, I want to turn around and hit other cars just to see how much destruction I could do. So even when games weren't about destruction, we were trying to destroy. So
yeah, fair one.
Stepping away from the
speed under.
Oh my god, yeah, and that's right when I got my license. So between Fast and the Furious, having a driver license, Need for Speed Underground, that was the stuff I couldn't afford from AutoZone to put on my personal vehicle. Need for Speed Underground.
Yeah.
It gave me what I needed. I was like, oh, I can't afford these neon glows for my car, but I can get it on the car in Underground.
Can live that fantasy. Well, anyway, so Trainwreck downloaded on Steam for what did you say, $44?
Yep, $44.99. Wreckfest.
That's probably about 36, 37 quid. Wreckfest. Yeah, I'll probably check it out. Yeah, well, that's it. That's all we've got for this week, guys. So thank you very much for joining us. And if you want to come and chat to us and have your say on some of the stuff that we've talked about today, we will be hanging around in Discord for a bit. You can come chat to us. You can follow us via all our nice social media links that Noobs has so wonderfully put together for us.
Another nice thing is during the show, we have somebody that ends up winning a giveaway for a game. So Chloe and Heels is who won the Forged Battalion game. As soon as the show's over, I will put up another one that will run the whole week and will end during the show. But once a week for the rest of the year, we will actually have game giveaways inside the Discord for a bunch of different stuff.
And the link to your caffeine profile.
Yeah, it's in my caffeine profile because it's going to take too long to watch this bar come back to my Discord.
Yeah. So that's where the link will be, or if you wait on screen, it'll come up in a bit. Same with mine. The giveaway will be in his Discord. There won't be a giveaway in mine, unfortunately, not this week. But if you want to come and have a chat with us, we are in. Where is it? I keep forgetting what it's called.
Yeah, because next week is going to be the Escapist 2. So that's what's going to be going up for next week. As soon as we get into the discussion, I will actually start putting that up. And like I said, you have all week to enter, and then we'll announce it at the next one. So it'll be kind of an ongoing thing like that. So
brilliant. Well, guys, come and join us in Discord if you want to come have a chat. And otherwise, I'll see you in the week. Come and watch us streaming, and we'll catch you next week for the show again, same time.
Yep.
Well, actually, no. Thanks. Next week we're going to do an hour later, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can give that a try and see.
Yeah.
Testing times.
We're going to do 7 o'clock time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. What time is that?
It'll be 1 o'clock here. 1 o'clock in Central Standard.
Central Standard. There you go. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys, and see you soon.
Everybody have a great day.
Bye-bye.